Hi, Sandy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the A.D.K Rock and Metal channel. And today we are doing a look back over the Balstock weekend that's just happened. The 3-day music festival that takes place in Balstock in Hertfordshire. To give a bit more of a background on it before we talk about the actual weekend, hand over to Kirk, who's got a bit more information about it.
Yeah, as you were saying, it's in the small market town of Balstock in Hertfordshire, which is probably famous as the football club that England player Kevin Phillips played for before he was scouted by Watford. The first festival, can we call it a festival? It is, isn't it? They held it in 2006. So this is, if you take out COVID, this would be the 16th year, 2024, that they've done it. And it really, from our perspective, comes alive in 2010, where you started to see a lot of heavier artists, rock and metal, and now we kind of have our own niche, don't we, within this. Essentially, it's a 3-day event now, and it's held in almost every pub and public establishment that can host live music. And for this one, it was at a venue called the Hen Chickens, and there were so many of our favourite bands playing it. And more importantly, it's free, and any artist who performs is expected to perform for free because they want to raise money for local worthy charities. So you might get a food token or a free drink for playing. Andy will be able to confirm because Nomadic Graham were on there. But yeah, it's not about the money. It's about giving back to the community. And it's multi-genre. You can just go and watch anything over these 3 wonderful days of live music.
I think what's really important to talk about is about the person that kind of kicked this off, which is G. LaRoche, who is the spearheader, organizer. There are so many other people also involved in it, and you've got to remember all the people doing this: the sound guys, lighting, the volunteers going around with the buckets, all the guys building the stages. No one's getting paid. This is all volunteer work. They're all doing it so they can raise money for charity. No one's kind of going, well, I still expect to be paid. The same as bands, no one's getting paid. It was all case of everyone doing all their work for free, which I think is really important. But G started this off as a single venue festival back, what did you say, like 15, 16 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was on the high street then, it will have been.
Well, I don't even know if it was, no, I think it was initially in just one venue.
Was it?
Started off, and then it slowly grew to encompass more venues, and that was mainly because venues wanted to get involved with it. And then after a few venues got involved, then more and more, and it kind of spread to the point that no one wanted to be excluded, so suddenly everyone wanted to be in it. And we have so many varieties of stages, from playing in a tent in a garden sort of stages to massive rig stages as well. We have venues at football grounds. I think the Buffs, was one of the ones is a football ground area. The big stage on the high street, and we have every type of act. It's not just, although we're a rock metal channel, it's not all rock metal music. We had everything from tribute bands, we had some cover bands, we had original bands, we had samba, we had death metal, we had, you name it, you could have found folk music, you could have found a genre that would have suited, and it was really well organized. A really useful tool on their webpage, which told you about on all the different stages what bands were playing, which band is playing now, what band is coming up next. You could then look days ahead as well. I think it was really, really useful, because then you could plan your walk around the high street. And it does take a while to get around, because they were spread out. And the Hen Chickens, which is where we're talking about mainly today, which is one we mainly covered because it was the metal venue, was a little bit far away from the rest of the bands.
We're on the periphery somewhat.
You weren't going to find it by just, if you were part of like where all the main venues were and the main stages were, you were not going to know that there was a metal venue around the corner, because it was a good, I would say 10-minute walk from like any of the other main event things going on. Andy, you walked around a bit more, so you can say about that.
Yeah, it was. I did pop into town to get some food and visit the merch stall in the town centre, which is where the main stage was held. But yeah, we're on the outskirts. You don't want to get anybody wandering in, which, for its faults, I did have a problem with it. But at least at the Victoria, where the metal stage has previously been, there were the casual passers by popping in and seeing what's this rowdy noise going on in this beer garden, let's go and check it out. But we didn't have much of that. As you said, if you wanted to watch a band at the Hen Chickens or the metal stage, you had to make an informed decision to make your way there. There wouldn't be many people who happened just to wander in, I don't think, which is a shame. But it was really, Saturday night in particular was absolutely rammed.
Yeah,
it was.
That back garden.
It was almost like a who's who of Club 85 people in that.
Yeah.
It was like seeing every band that we've ever seen from Metal to the Masses kind of just wandering in, and
Pretty much,
if they weren't on the stage, they were supporting the stage, which was great to see. There were so many different bands that I kind of said hello to, and I wasn't there for a lot. I was there for a brief bit on Friday night and a bit on the Saturday as well. I didn't make the Sunday. I know, Kirk, you were there for some of the Saturday. So I think we should kick into talking about the events now. Andy, we're going to let you lead this because the bands that we saw when we were there, you were there for as well. So if you want to take us through, we can try to chip in on your experience of it. But we're going to keep this kind of short and sweet. But yeah, Friday night, what did we kick off with?
Young band, 4-piece called Sacrificial. I did try looking into them before I went, but there wasn't much on. I didn't find any social media for this particular version of Sacrificial. There's a few about, but basically it's 4 probably teenagers, 3 lads and a girl. I think I heard somebody say it was their very first show, and they had a really sort of good sort of doomy guitar tone, probably very Black Sabbath. They did in fact do a cover of Paranoid. That's one of the clips I took. Done a couple of originals which sounded really good, sort of sludgy doom. Vocalist needs a bit of stagecraft and a bit of experience and a few gigs under his belt, but yeah, enjoyable way to kick off the festival.
Yeah, I mean, I only briefly saw them. My hope for bands like this is that they've obviously learned the bedroom craft of how to play a song. They've learned how to play in a rehearsal studio and stand there looking at the guitars and looking at their pedal boards. Now they've got to learn their stagecraft, and that's a really important thing. And I really hope when bands come off and their friends and family are watching, they get that honest feedback. Because the worst thing that can happen to a band like this is that everyone goes, "You're amazing, this is the best thing I've ever seen," and they don't realise the things they've got to work on. It's great to give positives, but it's also great to say these are the things you've got to work on. And when they watch the video, which you'll be seeing in the background behind this chat, you can clearly see the things that work on. And I think this band, if they've got the ability to play, let's see some stagecraft worked into it, and let's get something of a. Remember the thing we talked about, are they playing a gig or are they playing a show? That was a gig. We want to see a show.
Yeah, that'll
Next
come.
band on.
Our friends Lowdown.
Woo! Lowdown.
The next on, yeah.
One of the best live bands in England, never mind Hertfordshire.
Fucking hell, you've elevated America.
Oh, come on. Yeah, I mean, come on, Dave Runham. The previous band he was in won Metal to the Masses in 2016. This guy, now he does put on a show. I think we can agree on that, can't we?
He understands it. Yeah, he understands. Sorry, Andy.
Yeah, I love Lowdown. Seen them probably a dozen times. Very familiar with the songs, even the new ones that are on the forthcoming album. There's sort of some sort of set regulars that they bring out. But what I have noticed is that they seem to tweak each of the songs very slightly each time. I mean, Grind the Axe is one of my favourite new ones. That sounded sort of different. There's a little bit more sort of melody in Dave's vocal delivery, not as much roughness today. I don't know if you noticed that, Dave.
Yeah.
Sleep as well is an old classic, which they've sort of changed slightly. But yeah, I always love watching these boys. Yeah, I mean, what I'll say from Sacrificial right through to Sunday's headliners, who were
Earthbound.
No, Sunday's headliners, Aeronaut.
Oh,
The sound was absolutely brilliant. Whether you were right at the stage, through a few rows back at the garden near the pub, the sound was absolutely brilliant. And you could hear it in the street as well, but it wasn't distorted, it wasn't over loud. The sound was absolutely brilliant all weekend from this stage.
Yeah. Alan from Before the Sirens did a great job.
Anything I would say on the sound is I never got clarity on vocals. I thought musically it sounded good. Maybe it was my hearing going. I just didn't get the clarity on vocals, but I thought that was a lot of to do with the tent and maybe the way that the sound was going on it. I don't know. Maybe if you're standing in front of it, but I don't know if that was just me. If you're saying the sound was great and you could hear the clarity,
I didn't notice any sort of detriment to any of the vocalists, to be honest.
Okay, it's probably my hearing going then. But yeah, I would agree. Lowdown, great. I'm not a big fan of the tweaks they're doing to the songs because I like the songs that when we'd heard them from like a year and a half ago. And I do agree. Every time I hear it, there seems to be, hang on, if they just tweak that and shorten that little bit suddenly, or they just
shortening the palm muted riffs, that's criminal. They're the best parts.
They're doing a few changes there, and I think that's just sort of settling in. And Tell Me More, they don't seem to play that, which is annoying because I like that song. They got to bring that back in. So hopefully on the 27th, when they're playing for us at the ADK night and headlining, they will pay us 12 me more. I'll be very upset if they don't. Okay, who came on after Lowdown then?
The aforementioned Before the Sirens, featuring soundman Alan Davis on vocals and guitar. Again, absolutely love this band. They had a mix of it's all the sort of classics we know from the Under Dark and Skies EP, and Pull the Pin was played as well, the latest single. The only criticism is poor old Adam, the bass player. He really does compliment Alan on the vocals on the recordings, and you could see he was delivering, but there was just nothing coming through. And I don't know what the problem is there. His bass was kind of low in the mix as well, but I barely heard his backing vocals, which is a real shame because he really does add to the songs.
Yeah, it's interesting because I actually thought naturally with Adam on backing vocals, having spoken to him, that when we did the Pull the Pin music video, I assumed that on the actual single that he was doing the backing vocal harmonies, but Alan does the backing vocal harmonies. But I assumed that live that he would be doing it. But Adam's not a natural singer, and he's actually said that he's not hugely comfortable doing the backing vocals all the time.
All right.
So I actually, whenever I've seen him do it, he seems pretty comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
He didn't actually naturally look comfortable. I'm wondering if he couldn't hear quite as well, but they run a whole rig in here, so it's unusual for that. I know that there was a couple of technical problems. I saw Chris had a technical problem with his guitar on the first song, and I know Alex was having a few problems on the kit behind because it wasn't his normal kind of setup. But I thought they did a great job. They dropped a new song as well, which came off pretty well. I'd like to hear it a bit more polished because I think it's relatively new, but it'll be great to see that when it's fully recorded. But I thought the new song sounded good. I unfortunately left after Before the Sirens that night, so who came on after them?
Headliners for Friday was Earthbound.
Okay.
Another sort of local Hertfordshire band that I absolutely love and many people do. Really, really good performance from them again. Similarly to Before the Sirens, I couldn't hear the bass from Chris Stroud. He's got 5-string. He's not playing sort of regular root notes. He's complementing
some real
guitar.
shredding in there.
Yeah. He's tapping on the neck at times, but it's just not coming through. And I think that's a experience I've had before watching Earthbound. But they brought back one of my favourites from the first EP, Mother's Ruin, which you heard. Well, I noticed certainly from my video clip, the backing track that they have with that really sort of boosts the song and helps. And Louis Penfold's vocals on that are fantastic. He's really really puts it into that song. I actually love him performing that song. And last thing to say, another one of my favourite tracks, Of Suffering, just gives me goosebumps when I hear the sort of chorus falling into the void, and from that line onwards, just a really memorable song and a highlight of the Earthbound set.
I think Friday was a chilly night. I remember us all sitting out we were under the heaters and everything. So Saturday came out and we had glorious sunshine. I was wearing a jumper when I turned up with my hoodie, and I'm like, bloody hell, get this stuff off, because we're sitting in this lovely beer garden, all kicking off around 2:30. And who opened up for us on the Saturday then, Andy?
Do you want me to do this one?
Hang on, let me have a look. I've got the lineup here. Oh, it's Nomadic Rain.
Oh, who are they? Oh yeah, Nomadic Rain.
I will take the reins, no pun intended. Yeah, I got there at just in time. So he came on at 2:40 p.m. And the first thing I noticed is that you're one of the tallest bands in the scene, and at least all of you, I couldn't see your heads because the front of the tent was obscuring them. Good live sound. I always like to watch Damien, who's new as the vocalist, and speak to him after the gig. And there were some parts that stood out for me. Track number 2, I always forget that song. It's the best one in your repertoire at the moment. Can you remember the second song in your set?
Silent Revolve.
Silent Revolve, yeah, exactly. I think he was very confident there. He got some imaginative vocal lines. And I think if anyone sees Nomadic Rain, it's not just doom metal. There's a lot of atmospherics in there. There's some good interplay between you and Sam Farrington. And I think he's quite minimalist, but when he does need to play the lead parts, again, he always goes for atmosphere rather than flamboyance. To me, when I listen to Bisgrove play the drums, he kind of plays this band like a post-punk industrial type band. He's holding everything together, and it's like the instruments are playing off him rather than him following the guitars at times, which again can be that can be really interesting and hypnotic. And there was one moment I said to you, Andy, where Damien unintentionally has created this new sound where it was like this roar at the beginning, but sorry, made it sound like a keyboard sample of a Gregorian monk. And I was thinking, oh, have they got a backing track here? So I think he needs to do that more often and be like the sixth instrument beside his voice.
Yeah.
He could be onto something there. And it lent it a funereal feel. And that was the third song in the set list. So yeah, I thought the guitar tone was excellent. It always is with you guys. And you can hear the bass with Nomadic Rain as well, which surprisingly, you can't always hear that in doom metal because the guitars are often down tuned to at least B, aren't they? And I know that you play in that tuning. So Andy, I think I asked you after the gig, do you think the best gig you've played since you've reformed with 2 new members?
For me, it's in my opinion, the best show we have done as a band. To be honest, that for me personally, I thought I played as best I ever have. Well, the best I have, because I put my hands up, I hit the wrong notes, pull the wrong chords, get lost a little at times, but I thought I'd done really, really well, and I could hear myself. I could hear my bandmates, and you mentioned the bass. It's something we have worked on because Harry's mentioned before that he's had comments saying you can't hear him, so we've tried to get that right in the mix.
You could feel it this time.
Yeah,
you could feel that down the high street somewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. You'll be pleased about that.
Yeah.
Thank you for the kind words, Kirk. That's really kind. Yeah, so we really enjoyed it. We thought it went really well. Again, like every time we play, we've only got 4 songs. We need at least one more to fill the 40-minute set time that we had. So we probably only had 30 minutes on stage. It just goes in a blink of an eye. But love it. Thank you so much.
Should I comment, or should we leave it on a positive?
No, go for it, please do.
No, we're all about feedback.
So I really like the new stuff that Nomadic Rain's doing. It shows more of an influence from the newer members, definitely. The newer stuff, I'm going to say it. There's a bit of a grunge vibe in some of your newer stuff. There is.
Is there?
You've got a little bit of grunge coming into your
Paradise
sound.
Lost is in there.
But as we said, grunge and doom very much kissing cousins. So it feels, with Damien on vocals, it feels like a much more natural place where he's going on the vocals on the new stuff. Whereas I think first song that you play in your set, he naturally tries to follow the guitar line, and that's something he really struggles.
Well, again, I'll jump in here. My girlfriend Leslie said that the first song and the last song, which are lyrics from me on the first, lyrics from Sam on the fourth song, were not Damien's best delivery. The second and third, he absolutely nailed it. And they're the lyrics he's written to our music. So that, I'm so slowly falling out of favour with the first song, which is called Hypnosis, because I did write the lyrics, and not being a sort of lyricist and finding how, and I'm always in awe of lyricists and vocalists who put their words to the music but don't follow the beat of the guitar or the beat of the rhythm of the music, which is pretty much what I did for most of that song, which is why it probably stands out as being not quite as good as the others. But yeah, we'll take that point on board.
I think as you develop new songs, I think those are probably the 2 songs that are going to be the ones that kind of bleed away, because you could just feel, I mean, the other thing apart from that, him feeling more confident on those other 2 songs, and it feeling more natural because he wasn't trying to find the notes on those other 2 songs, he was just naturally delivering them. You guys all look like you were having a lot of fun, which for a doomy metal band is always fun to see.
Yeah,
because you weren't all in your own headspaces all the time. You were actually doing it. Sam's got his movement going. Everyone was having great fun. It came across, and that's why I think you guys enjoyed it, and I think the audience enjoyed it as well. So well done for that.
Thank you both.
Next on, who came on after you then?
Band I've never heard of before. I didn't sort of look into what they were like, but Daughter.
Okay.
Were they next? Or was it? I thought it might
Assimilate.
have been Assimilate.
Oh, sorry, yes, Assimilate.
Sorry, Assimilate. We just
And I thought they were-
you. Sorry.
Yeah, coming to lead on this.
Watford-based band, Assimilate.
They stood out for me, so I don't normally listen to new metal, and they have post-hardcore new metal, green metal. They were such a energetic live band. I've seen them before at Hartford Chord Exchange. I really like the vocal, the charisma that he has. they have a good way of transitioning in the songs. You know, they'll have a groove with like slap bass and the guitar player putting some interesting intervals, and then they'll just speed up the song as if it's like Jimmy Eat World or something, a band like that. And then they'll have the release, you know, from the tension in the chorus. So that I think they're great at what they do. The bass player really stood out for me, but I was also watching the guitar player, and even though he's playing some of those corn riffs, he was playing some insane chords, you know, in like the mid-range, really dissonant. But you're getting melodies from the vocalists. So you've got this great contrast as well. So I second time I've seen them, really impressed. As I say, I wouldn't normally listen to this type of like new metalcore, but this band have persuaded me that maybe I should be doing that, because as a live entity, top band.
So I've seen the band 3 times, I think now, 3 or 4 times. So they're a great band, not a great gig for them personally. They love a nice, dark, dingy, intense environment.
Yeah,
that's where they love to be. In a beer garden, in the sunshine, just didn't feel right for them. What I do like about them is with the vocalist, he's quite happy to go and just sit on a log somewhere. He likes to sit on the side of the stage. He likes to get in your face. He likes to tell you personal stories. He likes to try and engage with the audience and take you on it, rather than just be, I'm going to stand at a microphone and sing a song at you. He really wants to connect. There were some vocal issues in my head when I was listening, where it was some off-key bits, but again, there was a real issue there, I think, from speaking to a couple of people about some in-ear monitors where people weren't getting quite like, because you've got to remember, we're switching bands throughout the day. You're not getting a full 15-minute sound check where you're getting quite like, can I get this in my monitor? You're literally getting on there, and Alan's got to do it on the fly. He's got to switch all your gear over, quickly get you to do a quick tester, quickly check if you're okay, and then you're on and you're playing. So Alan did a great job working on the fly, but there are always going to be some things which don't sit quite right. And I'm wondering if that, when I heard some pitchiness and stuff like that, was can't quite hear what I'm working towards. But I do like this band, and I've seen them multiple times, and they're great. Like to get pits going, like to really bring the intensity of a hardcore show to it. So, but yeah, it wasn't a great show for me to watch, having seen them before. I think we've seen them at the Corn Exchange together, and I've seen them at Club 85. They were phenomenal before. But okay, so who came after Assimilate then?
The band I did mention before, so apologies to Assimilate. I wasn't there for your set, but Daughter.
Okay.
Either you two saw Daughter?
No, I was gone by that point.
I did. I saw some dissonant black metal.
You did, yeah. Go on, do you want to carry on, Kirk?
I can start. Yeah, so this is the band that were the most talked about and understandably got the most attention. So we had a black metal band with quite a dogmatic political stance. A lot of the songs were about trans rights. Musically fascinating. I've got to say 50% of it utterly unlistenable, and deliberately so, because it's black metal. Jesus, just watch some of those chords the guitar player is doing. If you asked the guitar teacher to show you that, they would laugh at you and say, what are you doing to this instrument? But we understand that it's meant to have that jarring, panic-inducing effect. Yet they also had some great moments of like hard rock where they were barring the fifth chords, and then there were some moments with bass fills. I thought they looked great on stage. The vocalist, she's what, 6'3"?
Yeah.
So transitioned from male to female. Good presence on stage, put a life and soul into it. I thought, I don't care that it's dogmatic politics. There's nothing wrong with politics in music. You want to get up there on that stage, and if you've got something you want to shout about, there's a stage to do it. I was speaking to some of the other people after that. I just got the impression she probably wanted someone to, make a bigoted comment so she could get pissed off. But you're in front of the most tolerant music fans in the whole scene. Metal, yeah. You're always going to be accepted. So you're not really going to get anybody who's taking you on that, because we want everyone to have a good time and everyone to have a voice. So yeah, I mean, I've never seen an extreme black metal band play in a beer garden before, so that alone was an experience. Got to say, the drummer, great clarity. You could even hear the double kick beats. There's some tasty blast beats in there. She was fantastic. I just 50% of it, it's like that death metal band also. I just cannot listen to it. Honestly, there's more melody in scratching your nails against a fucking blackboard at times than listening to those chord progressions.
I wasn't here for any of these, Andy. You could carry on going through these.
Yeah, I really enjoyed them. To me, it was very old school, raw Norwegian black metal. I thought, sort of at the time, very occasionally sort of drifted into the realms of depressive and suicidal black metal, again, which is a genre I like. Trans support are right here, but they did push that message rather hard, didn't they? I mean, there was 2 flags on and around the stage, and there was, the shouts between the songs were pretty much
like death to J.K. Rowling,
like that. Well. But you've got to mention, Kirk, this was the band that had the mask, didn't they? Wasn't there a
they were quite amusing, weren't they? Some of them had, well, none of them were like these sinister, evil masks, were they? They were quite amusing, weren't they? One of them, was it like a bunny or something?
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, but as you say, one of the more memorable acts of the weekend, I'm sure, for everybody who liked them or didn't like them. They're certainly stick in the mind. But I really enjoyed them, and I haven't done yet, but I will be looking into following them and seeing if they've got any recorded music on the platforms. But yeah, I enjoyed Daughter.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Raise the Devil were next. Who again, another North Hearts based band, are big favourites in the scene, featuring the aforementioned G. LaRoche on guitar. One of his probably half a dozen performances throughout the weekend. He was a very busy man, but I don't know if this was his first, but he certainly played at probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on the metal stage with his band, the band Raise the Devil. And I actually had a chat with James Anson, the vocalist, after the show, and I asked, are they sort of missing, I think his name's Will on second guitar, for the second time I've seen them. He said he stepped away from the band and they're not going to recruit anybody else. So they're actually sort of moving into a direction, sort of heavier direction, with sort of G's songwriting, I think, coming to the fore. So it's certainly a heavier and more metal version of Raise the Devil I've seen before. I really enjoyed their set. We've got Nick Clues on drums as well. But yeah, James sort of employed a sort of harsher vocal delivery as well.
Yeah.
I never saw him in a gas, which is going back a long time. That's sort of a sort of death metal project from the 2010s. I've heard some recordings, and it's more like that. Whereas the sort of early Raise the Devil and Best Medicine was a bit more sort of clean and melodic. They're certainly going in a heavy direction. I really enjoyed their set.
Yeah, I got the impression that they've started listening to the Down records again. The interesting thing is, Will, the reason he's not in the band is he's now the bass player in Cage Fight. Yeah. So he leaves for one of the heaviest bands in England or Europe, Cage Fight, this great metallic hardcore band. And then the band he's left become heavier somehow. It doesn't make any sense, does it? So yeah, he's top musician, and as you said there, Nick Clues, also the drummer, isn't he, in Cage Fight, that great Anglo-French band that we're all big fans of.
Yeah. Nick was also sort of stage manager for the weekend as well, so he was pretty busy as well. But yeah, found time to play a great set.
And we've got them on the 7th of November at the 66 Bar in Cambridge. They are supporting Cerebral Scar. And we also have, was it Broken States and Acts of Vengeance on that bill as well. So that's going to be a blinder of a bill. So look forward to that. Andy, carry on.
All right, the next one, Vampira.
Okay.
Did you see him, Kirk?
No, I went to get something to eat. What kind of music did he play?
Did you come back after that one, or did you?
Yeah, I did.
No, you did. Back. Okay, right. Okay, just check.
Jekyll's back when we're next. Yeah. What kind of band were they?
You picked a good time going to get something to eat. I hate being derogatory about bands before, but it was. I wish they'd have opened and we had this slot. Put it that way. It's sort of 80s UK punk, sort of like the Damned. Other bands of that ilk. It was, sort of the sort of gothic kind of look as well. But it was just, I don't know. I can't. I'm really struggling.
I'd have probably liked it then.
Maybe, I don't know, Dave. The vocalist was a young lady, and she was just sort of screaming random words. It just didn't. It just seemed very punk, very DIY,
very abrasive, which is meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, if that's your thing, I'm sure they perform well and have got a good delivery of songs. But it just wasn't for me, so I can't really say anything more than that.
What was the drummer like? At least with punk, I think the drummer is always a standout.
I think it's a young lady who's sort of known to a lot of people in the scene. I think she's called Dil Tasker. She played in a band at Club 85 recently. I think the band that opened the final. I was trying to think what they were called, but she played.
Was that the band from Kent?
Say again.
Is that the band from Kent that opened the final of Metal to the Masses?
Maybe. I don't know where Dill lives, but yeah, she's a bit of a multi-instrumentalist. I think I've seen her in other bands as well, but just wasn't my thing. But yeah, I guess she done a punk band delivery on the drums. I wouldn't really know, to be honest. Should we move on?
Yeah, let's go on. So next was what? Jackal's Backbone, yeah?
Yeah, do you want to kick off with that one, Kirk? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll give the context. So this was Beccatron's last show with the band, so she's probably the most prominent vocalist in the Hertfordshire scene. I think everyone will admit that no one does the harsher death metal vocals better than her, because you can hear every word in her delivery. And it was quite an emotional occasion. She no longer plays bass now anyway, so she could just concentrate. She stepped out from the stage, didn't she? She was thrashing her hair around. She was really going for it. I was closer to the back, and at times it sounded like Napalm Death from where I was. So I think there was like extra distortion in there, and they've always had that extreme element to them, to be fair. I know that they do like their Iron Maiden and even some alt rock from the 90s, but they've clearly got that Nervosa, Sepultura type death thrash sound to them as well, haven't they? And Tom, who's the guitar player, every time I go to a gig, I always look out for him and we always have a chat. I think he's such a great guy and great knowledge of music, and we just kind of buzz off each other. So anytime he's playing, I always like to go to support. But yeah, I'm friends with this band. I think they're one of the great names of the Hertfordshire scene. How many songs did they do, Andy? Did they get through 7 songs, you think?
I couldn't tell you, mate. Another Sum 41 cover.
Yeah, they did, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yes, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Dave can argue against us with that one. But yeah, you know what you're going to get with these. I think the top man, Greg, as well, he always puts on a good show, doesn't he? The rhythm guitar player who writes a lot of the songs. And then, of course, we've got Jakey Boy on drums. So, yeah, what did you think, Andy? Because you'd have been closer to the front, I imagine, weren't you?
The Sum 41 cover, I think, is what was performed at their very first gig. So that was the reason for bringing that one in. Yeah, Becca looked amazing. It was probably one of her best performances. She looked like she was loving every second of it. And she's done really well to keep back the tears when she said bye at the end of the final song, but it was fantastic. Yeah, the two sort of, I'll call them the new boys, Rue on bass and Tom on lead guitar, have really fitted in well. That they've, really brought something to the band. I've got a criticism about Greg's backing vocals, and I've told Jake myself, and it's every single time. On Red Mist Descending, Greg's sort of got several lines that he bounces us off of Becca, but you just never hear him. And I don't know why, because this must be sort of checked at sound check or line check, the levels of the mic. I don't know why it never comes through.
It's because he talks like this into the microphone, I think.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
If I watched the video, I actually watched the video of that performance, and you can see him actually going.
Maybe there's not the projection.
It turns up the reverb in the studio, doesn't it? Because there's not actually that much vigor to it. It sounds good on record, but it's very hard to replicate that.
I would say that there's also that element of that there's a panic that sets in when you're doing backing vocals, that you can sing them live on the album. When you're playing your instrument and you go, I've got to sing this bit, and you think, if I put too much project, I'm going to forget what the fuck I'm playing, and I'm going to fuck this gig up for everyone. So it's easy just to go.
From experience. Yeah.
I've done it on drums. I've been doing backing vocals. I'm like,
my bit's coming up.
Yeah. So I think there's an element of sometimes people on vocals feel if I project, I tense up my muscles, and that tenses up my playing. When you go and you try to do that big diaphragm push, if you do it less, you can carry on playing. And so you are singing, but you're just not being picked up. And if they crank your microphone to pick it up, they pick up way too much of the background noise, and then you get feedback. And that's the reason why they just don't do it. And I think that would be a big case for Greg. It's not that he's not trying, he's just not projecting anywhere near enough.
I mean, it was a fantastic farewell performance. It's a real shame that she's made this decision, and I hope she doesn't, regret it. And I hope the band moves forward with whatever path they take. But yeah, love watching Jackal's Backbone. Love their material. Really, really good final show.
Okay, next up,
Extreme Death Art.
Okay.
Another
ADA.
Yeah, another one of our ADK presents performers at Club 66 Bar.
Yeah, we've had them on, yeah.
End of July they played, and I mean the progress of this band in sort of 2 short years is incredible. I remember hearing them jam probably for the very first time at the practice rooms when we were rehearsing there. You know, thought, oh fucking hell, what's this? And we asked the guy on the desk, oh, it's JP from Listening's Divide's death metal band, and I thought, oh, this sounds really good. And they progressed from their first Metal to Masses show minus a vocalist, got through to the next round and recruited Chris Rossiter, and he just come on leaps and bounds. And although they've got no recorded material, I know these songs. They're so recognisable, they're so good. Fantastic musicians. Chris is a fantastic vocalist, and I'm going to stick my neck out and say they were my favourite band of the weekend. Absolutely brilliant. Can't wait to hear some recorded stuff. Looking forward to seeing them again wherever that may be, play live. Well, maybe the Cage Fight show, but yeah, so glad they're on that bill. Well deserved. Love them.
Yeah, I was stood at the back and it sounded good to me, because you just couldn't, it was a bottleneck, you couldn't get anywhere near the front by this stage. And every time I've seen them,
you can if you're 6'3" and you got a camera in your hand.
Say that again.
So you can if you're 6'3" and got a camera in your hand.
Yeah, true. Yeah. But yeah, every time I've seen them, they've always had a good live mix. You know, the instrument separation, probably the best band for capturing the true intensity of the blast beat, where it doesn't just sound like a washing machine. I'm with you. At least 3 of those songs I know, even though they've not got any recorded material. And it must be so difficult to play this type of music, you know, especially when everyone's at absolute maximum velocity, and there's some really technical fretwork going on there, and the drums, the concentration. We know the guy's a legend. He's been in so many bands. What's he called, sorry, the drummer?
James Kelly.
Yeah, man, he's absolutely gold standard, isn't he? As an extreme metal drummer in the scene. Never be short of offers or session work if he's interested in that. I'm sure he is. Yeah, they've become a reliable band, which is unusual to say that about something so ferocious.
Keep going.
Right. I think the penultimate band on the stage was Denali, Doom Death, Hertfordshire supergroup. Again, another fantastic band that I absolutely love and know the guys. This is the first time I've seen them with John Stacey on guitar, who plays in Earthbound as well.
Oh yeah.
Absolute. I mean, the songwriting of this band is absolutely incredible as well. The guitar work, the harmonies, the layered guitars, and they've got, you know, the duo, the Counter Skies duo of Nathan Rob Shaw on drums and Ross King on vocals, and the Simon Marston on the bass, who also plays in Everest Queen. I mean, let's say Hertfordshire supergroup right there. Yeah. And the first song was a brand new one, and it's the first time I've heard it, and it just struck such a chord with me. It's called Her Body, and it's going to be another one of my favourites. They played another new one, and then Deathless and Beneath the Waves from the first EP. And criminally, they've dropped my favourite song, Catafalque, from the set, but hopefully that'll come back. I've reliably informed by Little Bird, but yeah, absolutely brilliant performance. They've all adopted the Ross King hooded long cardigan as well, so they've got that uniform look, and throughout the set they gradually sort of disrobed, but James McGrenery kept it on almost to the very end, so all credit to him. He was shrouded in his hood for the bulk of the show, but absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
what a day at the Hen Chicken that Saturday was. I mean, that's just fantastic.
Yeah, I did catch, I think I caught the opening song and then had to go, and I remember reviewing the self-titled EP in 2022. To me, the Death Doom angle, they're more of the Scandinavian type, you know, like Swallow the Sun, Hooded Menace, even early Catatonia, rather than your My Dying Bride and Paradise Lost, which does come through. But they put their own spin on it, and you like you said, it's because Countless Skies, 2 of the members of that great mellow death, progressive mellow death band, are in this group, aren't they, as well? And that comes through as well. So they're pulling from some interesting directions, aren't they? And there's a clear vision for this band, and can't wait for the next EP or album. Yeah, these definitely earn the title supergroup, don't they?
Yeah. Right. There wasn't many, but unfortunately I had to make use of the Balstock Clash Finder app. Well, I knew what was going on anyway, but that's an example of how useful and how well run this festival is. You can see who's on next, and unfortunately, another of my favourite bands were playing just around the corner at the Buff Sports Club, and that was Planet Fatale. So I didn't see Praetorian or Hellgrind, who were on the Hen Chickens, but yeah, I went round the corner to another venue, and I wish the metal stage was here. It was supplied by a gentleman called Ian Ison, who's a supporter of the local scene and sort of local gigs. And it's a proper stage, raised, great sound. There's a back to the stage as well, and lights and everything. But crucially, on an outdoor event, there was a massive, great marquee, 10 metres away from the stage for people to shelter in the rain or hide from the harsh sun early in the day. But I don't know what other sort of bands were on this particular stage throughout the day, but Planet Fatale headlined it, and as usual, absolutely smashed it. A very similar set to whenever I last saw them. I can't remember that was so often. I can't
see them every other weekend, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much. But like a lot of the bands I've seen, they look like they're absolutely loving every second, and the performance was great. And yeah, can't praise them enough. Love them, and a great way to finish off my Saturday.
Okay, so it's Sunday then. So
Sunday, yeah.
You were back on Sunday, right? When it kicked off, what was it, about 3:30? I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, a bit later. Yeah,
A-D.K channel, wasn't it, on Sunday?
It was just the A channel.
It was the A channel. Yeah.
Andy brought his A game.
It was the A team. The A team was there.
Sit back and relax while I talk. Right.
Go for it.
I think we were getting on about 3:30 when they first started, but the band that kicked off Sunday at the Hen Chickens, the metal stage, was Vendetta. Not the band previously now called Vex, not the Peterborough hardcore band, but a bunch of young people. They're probably late teens, maybe even 20s now, who have played Balstock before. They've opened for on a bill that we played at Club 85 a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Started purely as covers when they first played, but now they've developed into a real decent band. They've got some original songs, and they sound quite sort of doomy and quite slow. They were originally just the four of them playing instruments. Last time I saw them at Club 85, they had a young lady on vocals who wasn't particularly confident or particularly strong in vocals. They parted company with her for whatever reason, and they've got a young lad up front who's got a lot more confidence, a lot more character. Even picks up the guitar for one song, so there's 3 guitars playing, and I can't honestly think what other songs they covered, but I certainly sort of paid attention when they done a great version of Pantera's Walk. Done a really good job on that.
Take some balls.
Yeah, the potential there. The lead guitarist in particular is very talented. Yeah, great bunch of people. And they'll go far. I'm sure they've been working hard over the last couple of years. Obviously, school friends from originating from practicing at lunchtime and at home after school to they've got the potential of being a really strong local band who I'm sure we'll see play more often and maybe featuring Melt to Masses next time around or the time after. Let's look out for them.
Okay.
Next up, another band who I'm very fond of and friends with. That's Cambridge's For the Hornets. Now, they have played the metal stage at Balstock before. Not necessarily the sort of band you think would play the metal stage at Balstock or any metal gig for that matter. But do either of you two know them?
Yeah, they remind me of Rocket from the Crypt at times. Remember that band?
I know the name.
Yeah.
The vocalist is got a good presence. He really commands the stage, doesn't he?
A really good front person, his ads. They've got sort of just distortion guitars and sort of clean bass a lot of the time. But they complement each other really well. There's parts where Lee's bass fills in the space where the guitar isn't playing, but they've got some really memorable songs. I'm glad it wasn't captured, but I was doing some two-step into one of the songs as I've done before after a few beers. Huh?
What about pogoing? Were you not tempted to?
No, don't do that. That's no, I don't do pogoing.
It's too old for that. Come on.
Yeah.
Can't be doing that.
Yeah. For the Hornets, very, very different. You know, not very, very different from the sort of music I usually listen to. It's sort of, it's that punk rock. I don't know. It's really hard to describe it. It's not,
eclectic rock.
It's not metal at all.
Could it be alternative?
Alternative. Yeah.
There are some heavy moments in them. I'm thinking the guitar player doesn't use a plectrum, from what I remember.
Doesn't, no.
How the hell does he play some of that stuff?
I own that,
yeah. I mean, it's a technique I saw on the before this started. Actually, we popped across to the main stage, and there was a 4-piece band, and the guy there's playing, electric guitar, albeit sort of pretty clean tone, minus a pick. So yeah, strong fingernails, strong thumbnail or whatever. But yeah, love For the Hornets. Next, we had the band Dave's very familiar with, and again, they'll feature on one of our upcoming ADK shows. That's Broken Calling.
Yeah.
We reviewed one of their videos on the channel recently as well, I remember. Again, this is not really my kind of music. It's not, I mean, Kirk, perhaps you can fill in exactly what sort of style they do play, but the opening couple of songs that had an 8-string guitar, which was playing something very different from the other guitarists. They did have a bass player. They got 2 vocalists, a male and a female. Ella was a little bit low in the mix. Certainly didn't come across as well as it did on that sort of song we reviewed on the channel, which I really enjoyed, which is what they closed the set with. It's called Virus. But the guy's got a real good, strong presence and a real strong voice. And I enjoyed their set. But I'm not really sure what apart from sort of modern groove metal, which I think is a crap term. I'm not really sure how you describe.
Go on, Dave. We know what this is.
This is new metalcore.
New metalcore, yeah.
This is new metalcore all the way. And their stuff. They like to throw elements of the electronica elements in there. Dual vocal playing off between Tasney and Connor on vocal.
What do I call her, Ella?
I have no idea.
Right. Sorry.
None of us picked up on it.
Tasney. So they've got a good interplay. I did actually speak to her on WhatsApp the other day to ask her about the experience, and she was saying that she had a massive issue where she couldn't get a mix in her ear. So she was singing and she just couldn't hear, and so she was struggling with her performance because she couldn't hear what Connor was doing. So she can't do that interplay. But she said sometimes it's just a case of it happens. Sometimes she gets a really good in-ear mix, and we've got them on the 27th of September playing at the 66 Bar. They are second on the bill for that one after Before the Sirens and before another band that they've played with as well, a band called Struck Down, which is a great new groove metal band from Kent as well. So, but yeah, I think they enjoyed it. They always come ready to bring it, and they're a very moving band. They love to move around. They love to use the space and come out front. And I can't wait to see what they do with a tiny stage like the 66 Bar, because I don't think Tasney and Connor are going to be anywhere near the stage. I think they're going to be in the bar the whole time singing, because I don't think they're going to fit the rest of them on the stage.
Yeah, the beauty.
Got that energy of 1 minute silence there. Right?
Yeah. The beauty of wireless guitars, that both the guys are out the front for the last song, sort of jamming together, kind of thing, on their own with a crowd.
I saw that,
yeah, really good. Next up is Of Concrete Gods. They're also playing one of our shows, Dave. Is that right?
So Of Concrete Gods are headlining our Grunge Doom night on the 5th of December. God, I can remember this. This is great. Yeah, 5th of December alongside Dreadbeggar.
Yes.
Black Skull Ritual and In a House of Heartbeats.
Yes.
Oh yes, In a House of Heartbeats.
We've got big old Doom night on the 5th.
They're instrumental, aren't they?
Who?
House of Heartbeats, are they the instrumental?
No, I think they've got vocals.
Okay.
I think they've got about 3 songs for a 30-minute set, but
Yeah.
I'm swinging towards Kirk. I'm pretty sure they've got minimal vocals, if none at all. I might be wrong.
I don't know.
I think they're kind of like a heavy post-rock band, aren't they? Cinematic.
Yeah.
It might be. I just remember them being very doomy and very long songs.
Anyway, back to Of Concrete
Yeah,
Gods.
sorry, go on.
Who I have seen before, but I must admit I haven't really given them more full attention when I've seen them live, and that's a shame because I really, really enjoyed their set. Big, sludgy riffs, tempo was real down there. It was fantastic. Great sound again. Nick, the vocalist, who we've chatted to on the channel, Dave, if you remember.
We have, yeah.
Why did he join us? Did we review one of his other projects?
Screaming Mechanical Brain.
Yeah, we talked about, yeah.
I think we reviewed one of their. It was a weird song, but it was really cool. It was very interesting. It was a weird song title as well. I can't remember what the title was.
Yeah. So I mean, he was out of the tent. He's a big guy as well, so he was front and center, and he's got a really good voice. But what I really liked as well, the guy on bass, he done a lot of backing vocals.
Yeah, he's good.
They pitch their vocals differently. They complement each other really well, and that sort of dual vocal delivery, you know, the harmonise, if that's the right term. Was
dual
excellent.
harmony. They're a dual harmony band, aren't they? Yeah.
Really enjoyed their set, and I'll be. Again, I've kind of overlooked them. That's criminal, and I'll be checking out that CD you was waiting around a second ago, Kirk.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'd overlooked these, and they really caught my attention earlier this year. And I thought, wow, how have I not understood that this band are one of the best in the scene?
Yeah,
and I don't know if they're criminally underrated, because when you do watch them, you start to think they should be headlining some shows. You know, and put this record on. It's an EP, and I think there's 5 songs on it. I'm sure it's like almost 30 minutes in length, so...
But the thing you got to remember there is they're in a scene which is primarily really heavy bands. So it's very hard for what is effectively just a doomy grunge band.
Yeah, with progressive...
This is the thing, I love the fact that Andy's like, I really like them. And I'm like, you know they're kind of a grunge band.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they were full-on doom, but that's I don't know,
It's a good balance.
Yeah.
That's why they actually fit.
I didn't recognise any of the songs or any of the passages, but I took it all in, and I really, really enjoyed their performance.
You can really feel this is why we've got them on a Doom bill as well, the Doom guys, because although they're not Doom themselves, there's Doom elements, which is where their grunge sound comes from as well, which works really, really well with them. But who was on after them then?
Next up, Acts of Vengeance, who again on one of our shows.
My favourite band, aren't they?
Acts of Vengeance, they're on the... Oh, what are they on there? They're on the 7th of November show. They're opening the night for us.
Yes.
First time I've seen this band with their well needed, that's the wrong term. They've got a second guitarist. I think he's played sort of a few shows. This is the first time I've seen them with him. And you can really hear the difference. You know, Marty, the vocalist and guitarist, he does leads in most of the songs. There's sort of dual guitar parts in most of the songs, and when they occur, you can really hear the difference between that and the recorded versions of the tracks. They've done a mix of sort of tracks from the previous EP, which I think it's called The Awakening. They did play that song and some of the new Scars of War EP, which we've reviewed on the channel. But yeah, really great performance again, really good sound. One thing you'll be interested in, Dave, I think we both mentioned this when we done the review, the actual song Scars of War, but we've seen them perform live at Club 85 Bells and Masses. We thought Marty was struggling with the sort of the clean verse, vocal delivery. He's either made a decision or listened to our comments or other people's comments, and he's done away with that. It's the sort of typical Marty growl delivery on the verse of that song.
Good news.
Yeah, and it sounded really, really good. Our friend Poe on bass, who's also in War Talk Wings, he's taken up the mic for backing vocals, Kirk.
Yeah, he's quite...
Again, like Greg of Jackal's Backbone, I couldn't really hear him. I could a little bit, more so than Greg, but I couldn't really hear him. Get a call.
Ignore it.
I am.
Talking about thrash metal.
It's put me off. Yeah. He's doing vocal. He's doing quite a lot of backing vocals on the chorus of the songs, and yeah, all credit to him. That he done. Played really well. Maybe it's a projection thing again. Maybe it's a mix thing. I don't know, but look out for that in the future for Acts of Vengeance show.
Air guitar heaven. Whenever I listen to this band.
Oh yeah.
Watching live, just playing the air guitar. Love it.
So our final band of the weekend then.
Yeah, final band of the weekend for me and for the Hen Chicken stage on the Sunday was Aeronaut. Again, a band I really, really like, and I'm really sorry, guys. I still haven't heard your new album, and I'm sorry about that. But the songs come across very familiar, very accessible. The despair in Mikey's voice is heart-wrenching at times, and you can see he's putting his heart and soul in the lyrics and the vocal, the delivery of these lines. and a real, again, big, slow, sludgy riffs. Really good sound. I must admit, again, I apologise. I bowed out after sort of 3 songs because I was done. I mean, it was still fairly early at this point, but
it's a long weekend, and
yeah, I'm surprised. I thought at the beginning of the weekend I should have taken Monday off, and I'm surprised how good I felt on Monday morning and throughout the day. But yeah, I need to give Aaron Orr my time, the time they deserve for that album, because I think it's something they're very proud of, and it's an excellent piece of work, I'm sure. Love the previous incarnation of the band, Black Atlas. You can obviously hear the influences. There's not such a such a dissimilar style, and I'm kind of repeating exactly what I said when I saw again only part of this at Heavy Fest a few weeks ago in Stevenage. But it's a highlight of my calendar. It's not every year, unfortunately, but Balstock is brilliant. There's almost too much choice. We've got the problem of, we ventured over to the main stage before Sunday kicked off, but I'm sure there are dozens and dozens of other great acts around the town that I would have liked to enjoy. Certainly Leslie, my partner, would like to enjoy it as well. But you're kind of encamped in the metal stage. You don't, especially with such a strong lineup, which I think is probably the strongest.
We know 90%, and we're friends and all these bands.
Yeah, you got that issue as well. But there wasn't anybody I wanted to miss. Unfortunately, I had to miss Helgrind and Praetorian. But that was for a clash. But yeah, fantastic lineup and massive hails and congratulations to G. LaRoche and his team and everybody involved in putting on this fantastic event.
Yeah, one thing I do before we go need to highlight, though, it is scandalous that in the town centre, near where the bouncy castle was on the main stage, they were charging £10 for a bratwurst.
Really?
They probably bought those bloody sausages from Tesco across the road and decided that they were bratwurst. £10, no chance.
We could do a whole other video about food catering on the weekend if you like, Kirk. We'll leave it for now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our wrap up of Balstock. I have one question I want Andy and Kirk to each answer. So, has Balstock got to the point where it now needs to move to an event venue like a large sports field and have 3 or 4 stages around the field with different bands and have food stalls and stuff like that? Still have the charity event, and you can either do a very minimal amount, or is the charm of the event the fact that you've got all the venues and you move around the town? Would you say it needs to go to a bigger place where you have multiple stages and a more central location? Or do we need to keep it still in the venue? And should we lessen the amount of stages? What's thoughts on it? Your thoughts for the future of Balstock? Andy, what do you reckon they should do next?
I think I touched on it on my last sort of statement. There is almost too much choice. The event you've described is Tri-Fest, which was last summer at the Raspberry Club. I think it is in Letchworth. Big field, 3 or 4 stages, food, drink, whatever, paid to get in kind of thing, all in one location. I mean, it's almost like the Notting Hill Carnival argument, isn't it? They're talking about centralising that rather than having it as it's always been in the streets of whatever part of London Notting Hill is in. It's a really good question, Dave. I think it'd be a very, very different event if it went down the route that you've suggested. Whether it will not, I haven't got an answer. I like the format. I just didn't like the location of the pub, and I wasn't a great fan of the pub itself. I didn't have a problem with the Victoria where it was last year. First choice would be my first few balls, which was the town hall, which had a proper stage inside, right in the centre of Baldock. So you had that option of having a wander across the road to the chicken shop or checking out the bands on the old White Horse on the corner near the station. We were far too out of the way, and when I walked in on Friday night and saw what the pub was like, where it was, I thought, I'm not going to enjoy this weekend. But it was one of my favourite Balstocks, if not my favourite. It's just, yeah. So the metal stage at the Buffs Club, Buffs Sports Ground, that'd suit me.
Yeah. Kirk, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll give you a 30-second answer. No, keep it as it is. I like that it's decentralised. Like the Desert Fest in London, in Camden, where all the usual venues like the Dev and various places, they just host all the bands and you can just go from each one. I think a centralized one, I don't think that'd be a good move for it. I mean, some of the feedback you were saying about that one in Letchworth, come on, when you've got Before the Sirens playing and there's no one watching them, at least when you've got a venue and you've got like-minded bands on there, I know it's the same faces, but at least you're going to have the numbers there. So I would keep it as it is, where you just have it in any public venue that wants to host music, they can do it, and then you do put them into different genres. I don't think that's necessarily a fracture of the local music scene. You're not going to have Praetorian on the same stage as a breakdancing act, are you? I just don't see how they would be on the same bill together.
One last point. We talked about this, myself and Leslie and other friends as well. There's no sort of central. You got hundreds of people, maybe a couple of thousand people. I don't know. It's descending on this small market town across 3 days, but there's no recognised car park. There's a few small ones. There's Tesco's, which I don't know if you're how long you can stay there for, but it's like side streets and grass verges, which has always been the case. And I've never had a problem, but then I've been there at the beginning of the day. If I couldn't get there till 6 o'clock on the Saturday, because for whatever reason, would I find it difficult to park my car? I honestly don't know, but I've always been there at the beginning of each session. But again, I've got an answer as to how to solve that problem if it is a problem.
I mean, I'm going to just, I agree. Car parking was a nightmare because you ended up parking all over on people's. You're nicking people who live there's parking spaces, basically. I mean, if you lived in Balstock on that weekend, you're never going to move your car. You're like, well, wherever we go, we're not moving, because if we move our car, we're never going to get a car parking space back tonight. We're never going to be able to park unless you've got a driveway. And in relation to the question I asked you as well, I just wanted to, you guys, I would say keep it in the same format, but I think they've allowed themselves to expand too much. So as each venue's gone, we want to be part of it, they're like, okay, fine. And I think it's spread too far out. They could do with maybe reducing the amount of venues, bring it a bit more closer, and maybe they have to put less bands on and just go, well, look, we're still going to do it. We're going to have a metal batter stage. We're going to have a rock stage. We're just going to take 20% less bands in the event. I think because sometimes, as you've seen, each year it's got bigger.
Yeah.
And it's got to the point now where venues are going to be, next year you're going to get to like Baldock adjacent venues where we've also got bars in Letchworth going live today this week because we've expanded into Letchworth now on the other side. It's got to the extreme at that point.
To solve my problem of wanting to watch other bands, I thought, well, just have a really top quality, perhaps even longer Saturday metal day, and then don't put metal on the other days. That gives me a bit more scope to watch something else.
You could do other things. You could Sunday, do a lot more focus.
Sunday, the attendance for the half a dozen bands you played, 7 bands that played, was markedly less than even Friday night, which was fucking cold and dark, and but Saturday's the prime slots. But I did feel a little bit sorry for the Sunday bands, so I don't know.
There's some things for them to look at. I would definitely say they've done a great job this year, but I even saw when you see G. LaRoche and the team talking about how exhausted they were after that weekend. The question has to be: have you expanded too far now? I think they're stretching them. I think they're stretching themselves probably a little bit too much, and they could probably reduce the size and make it a little bit simpler. Leave these pubs out in the outside verges and just kind of focus on the core venues. Have 4 or 5 main venues in the main part of the town with a main stage. Keep it like that. Keep it more centralised. Keep some metal bands in there, but you don't necessarily, as you said, you don't have to have 3 nights of it. You could do a metal day and have your metal night on the Friday or the Saturday or the Sunday, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And split it that way.
I mean, the outlying pubs, Hen Chicken's been one of them. I think the opposite side of town is the Orange Tree, which I think is a really well-established music venue. I've never been myself, but I think that would have to still be part of the circuit. And I might be wrong, but looking at the sort of programs, I think they've got less venues this year. I think there's a few that weren't putting bands on, but it was a very full on.
Yeah. And they obviously had the issue where one of the stages got shut down on Saturday night.
Oh, yes.
But Bounce was doing it at the old White Horse?
Yeah.
Why? What happened?
the crowds were spilling out onto the road. There was basically
Oh
blocking
yeah,
the
walk
actual
through
road.
them. Yeah, you couldn't drive through it. I know. I thought,
But eventually, the police had to shut the venue down for and so the main headliners that night didn't actually get to play a set.
Fuck yeah, no.
That was the London Road stage. And that is such a weird, because even when there's no stage in that car park, that's a small fucking car park for that park.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
You put a stage in there, and that's freaking tiny. You'd think for that size stage, that should be somewhere else, and maybe that should have been a small little venue or something like that. But yeah, I think there's definitely a question mark. They're gonna have to think about that one for next year, about what goes on in that particular corner. And I'm kind of glad that I'd left before that became a problem on Saturday night, because I had to drive past that.
I had to walk through it. Yeah, and I was like, why is everyone in the road? That's probably just before it got shut down.
Probably.
Fantastic.
There you go. That's our thoughts on Balstock. We've got a lot of the Balstock bands. Well, we've got several of the Balstock bands playing, obviously, on the ADK events. We'll put some details up on the corners of the screen of the different upcoming shows. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the video sometime very soon. Take care.